Behind me, I have the brand new Santi E.Lite Plus Drysuit in Scarlet Red. On this side, I have two of their older models, and that is the Emotion, which is the one in the front, and then behind that is the Emotion Plus. And so it would be nice to compare, I thought, the new suit, which I've had for about a month, versus some of these two that I've had for quite some time, and talk a little bit about the differences, talk about the things that I look for in Drysuit, and talk about some things that I don't like. So let's get started. This Santi Motion was the first suit that I ever got, and it was a made to measure. Got it in 2015. I still dive it pretty frequently, and it's been great. The second suit behind it is the Emotion Plus. A couple things that I didn't find that I liked as much about them. Well, it's mainly the durability issue. Where I would tend to get wear is in the elbows and shoulders, in the chest, and in the thighs. With this suit, the thinner fabric is pretty much through the entire suit. The only place you get really high durability is in the knees. They have this Kevlar pad, but for the most part, the rest of the suit, there's no, except maybe here on the arms, there's no real thick fabric anywhere. And so this was a problem for me. I was getting holes and things like that. Although, like I said, I still dive the suit, but I had to patch it here and there. And as you dive the suit, the fabric itself just breaks down, and that's sort of the downfall of some of the lighter suits. It's inherent. Like anytime you rub something like with your harness or whatever, that's just gonna break the fabric down, and it's gonna cause pinholes and leaks. And so at some point your suit will just it'll deteriorate. That's the best way to say it. So the things that I'm looking for in my next dry suit have a lot to do with durability. There's also a lot of functional things I'm looking for, but at least for me, primarily my dives are in caves, and obviously being a pretty abrasive environment. But not only do I have the cave itself that I have to worry about with the dry suit, I'm using a lot of equipment, even things like stage bottles, rubbing on the side of the dry suit. You know, bolt snaps themselves can pinch or snag fabric and cause holes. And let me show you a little bit about where some of the areas for me, again, I talk about for whatever reason in the Emotion, this corner on the arm has been, I don't know if it's just something that sticks out or it's just like gets a lot of wear, but that little seam that is sewn there just tended to wear out. I was getting a lot of holes there, and then also in the back, you can see the lighter fabric it's like faded or whatever you want to call it. A lot of patches there. The back plate itself would rub that area. The shoulders, especially on this side, you can really see it's just the fabric is just breaking down. Same thing here. This suit, to be honest, is actually the one that got the most abuse. I wore it almost exclusively in caves, and so there was hardly any open water dives on these. So the shoulders really got torn up. So any place that there was a seam, I guess it was like the stiffer part of the seam would just tend to get worn. The nice thing about this Emotion Plus, though, is that they did put the more durable fabric in some of the higher wear areas. That also tended to be like the chest. But for me, they still didn't fix the arms in places that I really, really needed it. An interesting spot that really got a lot of wear for me was the pocket. And I don't know if that had to do with like having equipment on, or just generally like places like Jenny Springs where you're getting out of the cave and like the ear is pretty narrow, and so your pockets, if they're full of stuff, they would tend to rub on the side of the cave. And so I actually wore a hole through the pocket on this one, had to put some aqua seal on, which works really well. It just looks ugly. The name tag on this guy is coming off. But yeah, so overall, I haven't had any leaks in the leg with this material. The only place I really had any leaks was like in the chest here. Again, in the back. What's interesting is that they put this more robust fabric in some of those wear areas that I was describing as being problematic for me. So that brings us to this scarlet red suit, this new Santi E.Lite Plus. I waited for this actually because well, one, I wanted a red suit, hadn't had a red suit, and the only really super durable suit that Santi was promoting initially was the E.Lite, and it was this very heavy duty fabric over the entire suit, which only ever came in black. And you know, hey, let's face it, you want to look good too. And when they first released this suit, they had blue and gray. I wanted something red, which I was pretty excited to see when this came out. I think, by the way, the red looks really, really good. It's definitely pops underwater, which I love. But this suit resolves a lot of the issues that I had. One, that very durable fabric is all the way down the arms. And two, this material being thicker than what you see here in blue should hold up better in the areas that I would normally get wear, like in the chest. Next key point for me though is having a suit that's pretty lightweight but also flexible. I tend to run my suit a little bit leaner, as I know a lot of other cave divers do. And by lean, I mean I'm not injecting a lot of gas in this suit. I'm not using the suit as buoyancy. So I'm only putting enough gas in it to make it comfortable, so I don't have a big air bubble trapped around. That means that I want the suit to be flexible enough so that it is comfortable and I can reach all the stuff, like get in my pockets, reach my valves, things like that. This material I really like. It's soft to touch and it feels kind of flexible. It's weird. I can't really quite explain it, but it feels flexible and more durable. Almost like a really thin neoprene, but it's not neoprene. So let's look at the back here. And of course, the whole back of the suit is that really durable, the thickest Santi fabric, including in the butt. So besides suit durability, some of the other things I'm looking for are, well, obviously comfort, but the pockets for me are kind of a big deal. The main difference between the Emotion and even the Emotion Plus is actually the pockets. On the new E.Lite Plus, it has a zipper on this side. It has a wet note pocket on this side. Now that you would expect, but on this side, it's essentially the same exact pocket, but it's also got the wet nose. One of the little attention to detail things that I really love are the fact that the zippers on the pockets are always closed backwards, right? And by backwards, I mean the zipper closed is on the back of your leg on both pockets, right? So they have a left and right pocket. So because you have these extra zippers, you're always wanting to make sure that if you've been in and out of them, to make sure that your zippers are closed. You don't want stuff falling out. Easy to be like, all right, well, the zipper's in the back, I know it's shut and I'm good to go. Some of the other Drysuits, they only use one zipper direction, and so one of the pockets is closed going forward and one of the pockets is closed going backwards, and it's a small thing, but it's a little bit annoying to me. Other than the pockets, the material, at least with the E.Lite Plus and the Emotion Plus, they're very similar suits. Let me take this one down again. both of these suits that I ordered, I got the ring seal system. This is really good because you can change the seal and the feel if you need to. And they have the I got these bottleneck seals. These are really durable. I do have a problem with these though. Like I have this deep tendon channel or whatever. And so when I'm on the scooter or I'm doing the reel or whatever, I tend to get a little bit of water in there. Not a big deal. It's just my arms tend to be a little bit wet after you dive. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything I can do about it. It just is what it is. So bottle seals, these rings, they can be a little bit annoying if you are trying to get in and out of your harness, but I do like them for the functionality of being able to change the seal in the field, so that's pretty important to me. There is another difference here in the boots. With the new E.Lite, they sewed this Velcro strap. This is to keep the boot on. And they sewed it in the back here, whereas before this, you could rotate it back and forth. And I like that feature because this plastic buckle, for the most part, is in the front of your boot. And so it might bother some people. It might dig into the front of your foot depending on the way your foot's shaped. It's okay for me, I don't really notice it. That might be an issue. Yeah, I'm not sure why they did that. It may have been a durability thing, but they used to have, and I'll show you actually, but they used to have this plastic piece that you could slide the strap and position this buckle any place you want. And this is what I'm talking about here. So you can see that this rubber or plastic, if you will, you can slide this around and you can place that. It's like, for me, I always like to have it on, I think I'd put it on the outside of the boot. And that way it wouldn't rub or bother me. A couple things about the boots. These are made of neoprene. They can get holes in them. As you can see, what you're looking at here are where the boot was wrinkled, and over time it wears. There's actually a little hole you can see the neoprene through. That will be a hole in the boot at some point. Usually what I'll do is once I start to see that, I'll take some aqua seal and stick it in there and just make sure that it gives me a little bit more life out of the boot. As far as repairs on both of these suits, I've done a zipper on this one and the Emotion. I've done a couple neck seals. I've done, I think, boots at least on both, or maybe just one. The boots do wear out. Some of the things is that the tread goes. I think that's from the fins rubbing, which is kind of interesting because it's not like you're walking in the Drysuit very much, but yeah. So we talked about pockets, we talked about durability, we talked about differences, we talked a little bit about some of the things I don't like with the boots. Inside the standard things of all Santis, at least the Motion Plus, and now the E.Lite, is that you get some very nice, like an internal suspender system with a bib and a pocket. And these suspenders are pretty they're thick. I've never had an issue with them stretching out. They stay in place, they hold the suit up. If you wanted to, there's a pocket here with a zipper that you could keep a key or whatever you need in there. That's a standard feature on all the suits. You're gonna get that no matter what. Recommendation wise, like I said earlier, depending on the type of diving you do you need something like this as a durability standpoint? Maybe. Depends on if you think you're gonna be, if you're an open water diver now and you're just looking at a Drysuit. If you've never had a Drysuit, this might be overkill. I would almost recommend something like the Emotion Plus or even the Emotion, because it's gonna be a lighter, more travel-friendly suit. For me, at least, as I said, the way I gravitated towards something like this was just noticing the wear and tear on the suit, and I want to get a little bit more life out of them. Truth be told, I'm still diving all of them. I rotate through them. So I can't really say that it's the durability thing, except that when I do get a hole, it tends to be a time when I need to have the suit. So I want to be able to get more mileage out of something like this. I'm hoping that this stands up. One of the last things that I would say as a dislike on the suits that I'm hoping this resolves is that the fabric, this thinner, the blue areas, it tends to fade over time. I'm not sure if that's because of UV or if it's just the wear and tear on the fabric is making it look white, more white or faded. But this suit used to be a lot more blue, and I'm hoping that this red stays red for quite a while, and that the suit itself looks good for a while. I'm going to be using this pretty much primarily for the next probably year or two, and then delegate these two in the back to being backup suits. And I always carry at least one of them with me in case I gotta tear a neck seal or whatever. Obviously that's a fortunate luxury that I have, having multiple suits, but you know, like I said, if you're brand new into diving or just looking for your first dry suit, or you just need something that is a great functional suit in your open water, or even if you're cave, really any three of these would be a great choice. So you just have to pick and choose what you think is most important to you. Functionality, like we said, we talked about the pockets. I like to have the zippers on both sides. I like to have the wet note pockets on both sides. Sometimes I'll carry, I'm learning to survey, and so sometimes I'll have a survey notebook in one side, and I'll just have my general wet notes of all the like deco tables and just all kinds of stuff. So having the flexibility of having the different things in the pockets is important to me. The zippers, of course, that's really nice. Everyone, I think you get to a point where you start to load your pockets a little bit differently. I always carry a leash in my working pocket, the zipper up here. I don't have any in here now, but I carry bottle leashes in here, and I carry tools on the other side. So this is, actually there's some in here now. And the nice thing about these is that these zipper pockets even have like a little bungee thing. So if you leave your pocket open, hopefully you won't lose your good stuff. So anyway, that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed this review, this comparison, if you will, of the dry suits that I own. I'm gonna do one more review / comparison. I also have a DUI that I got not too long ago, yeah, so I'll compare probably the DUI to this one, and give you some of the feedback on things I love, things I don't love, and yeah, so that's it. Thanks everyone.